Welcome back to the Pawed Crew. Hit the subscribe button and don't worry, we won't bombard you with videos. We barely ever make them. So if you're new here, we are a couple that live on a 38-foot sailboat with 7 dogs. This isn't really a channel about boat work, even though that's what we're doing today, or really about sailing, even though that's how we get around. This is a story of how we are traveling with our pack of dogs, and we're trying to make it to Europe eventually. We started this adventure 3 years ago when we drove from Costa Rica up through Nicaragua, Honduras, and found our sailboat for sale here in Guatemala in the Rio Dulce. So we hope you'll join us for the adventure. Of course, we've always got the great excuse to take the dogs for a walk, rain or shine, and we love to take little adventures with them around the lake to different beaches, waterfalls, for nice fresh air. Normally we actually just let the dogs go running from this point, but we see that there is remnants of somebody's little fire, so we're just going to make sure there's nobody here first before we just go letting the dogs go crazy. Just gonna go see what's going on over there. Hey Rio, you're not listening, bud. Rio, haga caso please, thank you. One thing we're always really careful about is sometimes you'll find people walking through here, like workers going from one spot on a farm to another or so. And if a bunch of dogs come running up to them and barking at them, they may feel like they need to defend themselves, and a lot of times they're wielding machetes and stuff for work. Hey Reina, come here, I'll let you go, brother. That kind of stuff, just, I like to anticipate and be respectful, avoid a major tragedy. All of our dogs are pretty sweet, but we do have a couple that bite. One of my favorites, one of my 7 favorites that likes to bite people and likes to roll and who knows what. Thanks, Pearl, that's great love. Because they are all rescue doggies, they each have a unique past that's helped shape their personalities. Oh God, that was so hard. You okay, Pearl? They play really rough sometimes, but they know where they rank in the pack, and they all get along great. This is such a gorgeous spot, my gosh. And it's always changing, it's crazy. Sometimes we come and there's grass and cow patties. Sometimes we come and there's weeds, and you can tell there haven't been cows here in a long time. Sometimes it's cold and stormy, or gorgeous sunny days like today. And sometimes there's more beach, sometimes there's less beach. The trees fall, new things grow. We've spent the majority of this 3 years here in the Rio Dulce doing different projects on our boat, getting her as seaworthy as possible. We actually got to get out and get some seawater under her keel last year. We spent 6 months in the Bay Islands of Honduras doing a little cruising. Just enough to inspire us to get back in, haul the boat out, and get back to work. So we have no steering capability whatsoever, and we have no engine in the boat right now. One of the many very expensive lessons we've learned so far, we had to have our entire engine overhauled after it ran dry of oil because of a leak in the oil pan, which is still being worked on right now. And these guys are just so calm and cool and just maneuvered us over here like pros. Got us tied up to the dock. I'm so impressed. Meanwhile, my heart's pounding. Pearl's screaming. I just feel like telling our boat, like, don't worry, we're not taking you out to leave you here again. I don't know, I just feel like we're returning her to where we found her, and she sat there for so long, 9 or 10 years. So it just feels like, don't worry, we're not taking you out to leave you there. We're taking you out to paint you and fix you up as much as possible. Being hauled out of the water definitely takes some getting used to. Our new neighborhood. For starters, our backyard surroundings are usually beautiful waterfront views, birds for neighbors, gorgeous sunrises and sunsets. Life in the boatyard, on the other hand, can be dirty and noisy. We're on a second story with concrete floor below us. But there's also things I like about boatyards. Principally the group of people you get to meet. They're creative, industrious, each one working on boat projects, big and small, and it really goes to show you can fix anything on a boat. The fact that you can find the materials and that you can learn how to do it online and from other cruisers is pretty incredible and pretty empowering. Anything can be fixed with enough time, energy, and money. We knew that we would find something that we didn't expect, and we found something pretty big. Okay, so we have a cast iron keel, and it was very corroded, and the paint just peeled right off like a layer of wallpaper. So we just had part of it sandblasted, and they're coming back on Monday to sandblast the rest. But we're gonna go down and put some hydrochloric acid on it today. So we're by no means a channel to follow if you're looking for advice on how to do boat work, but we might be the ones to watch if you're interested in knowing how it really is to learn how to do this from scratch. Tell you if we did anything wrong, kind of thing. So this is what often happens. We say, let's go do this project. Sit down and do a bunch of research, and I think I know what I'm doing. Order whatever supplies they say I need. We come down with all this stuff. We look at the spot we're gonna work, and then we say, well, darn it. They didn't address that.
I'm not really sure if I can breathe or not.
Or, well, what do we do about that? And then it's another day of research before we can actually start the project, and usually ordering more supplies that take another week or two. This is one of those things that I'm talking about. We get all the way down here, and we don't realize that you have to cut this open with a pair of scissors. So now Hyra's gone back up to the boat to get some scissors. And it's just kind of like that. I guess when you know what you're doing, maybe you know what all you're going to need. But once you try to think of everything and get it all together, it's up and down the ladder a lot. Among the wide variety of tidbits of wisdom I can pass along if you are thinking about getting into boat life. First of all, paying someone to do the job isn't always better. When we first found our boat, this whole keel treatment that we're working on needed to be done. But we were intimidated, and so we paid thousands of dollars to have somebody else do it, only to find out they hadn't followed the guidelines on the paint instructions. And now that we're doing it ourselves, we can see where the mistake was made. And it was intimidating, but after we asked around a couple different times, went and found all the materials, trying to keep myself free from the chemicals, and I just about passed out from the heat over there on the sunny side. Oh my gosh. We just went step by step. After the red paint that goes on the metal, we put an epoxy base coat on it, which is the gray step. Keeping an eye on the doggies here. Got the AC on. Yeah. But we're using the Interlux products 2001E and 2000E. And before we started, we washed it really good with this acetone. I read the instructions really well, so we mixed the two, part A and part B, and let them sit for 20 minutes. It's probably about 85 degrees, so it looks like it's only good for about 2 hours, and it'll dry within 2 hours. We need to put another coat. And we were really surprised when we opened the 2000, the big jar, that it was very, very, very goopy. So we ended up having to mix that quite a bit, and then mixed it with the part B. We filled in around the keel with an epoxy. Another amazing challenge is trying to film yourself learning how to do stuff. Not getting distracted by one or the other and doing it right, because this stuff was not cheap. I had it sent all the way from England. In this case, because I got it with our through holes. Okay, read the instructions well. There's a red top under here. Okay. Probably gotta put that back too, don't we? Okay, here we go. Oh gosh, I hope I can. Oh gosh. Gosh, it's like squeezing honey out of a tiny... Oh, it stinks. No esperaba esto. I wasn't expecting it to smell like fish. Ooh, face. Stinky. The instructional videos didn't warn me about a lot of things, I'll tell you. Nobody warns you about that. Holy shit! Yep, learned that one the hard way. You need a mask when using this silica mix. Hi, Randy. That's good timing. Maybe you can help us. Oh, yeah. I'll get back to you. Yeah, perfect. Being social in the boatyard is kind of funny. So we just had some friends walk by, and I wanted to talk to them, and they're like, "Oh, are you using epoxy? Oh my god, get in there, help him, that's gonna dry." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So it's funny because people that know, you know, you can, it's not rude to say, "Sorry, I'm in the middle of a project." Just kind of fun. Okay, we'll need the puppy. Found that mixing this in the sun, where I can actually see through my container so I can see where my mix is getting to. We then had to sand for days, come back and put another coat of the gray epoxy primer on right before we put the anti-fouling on, which was the key step that had been disregarded by the professionals. It's so amazing how Jairo can do pretty much any task and stay completely clean. And I just painted my whole hand in epoxy. Forgot to take my rings off before I started. I'm on a kick trying to be as healthy as possible. I didn't even want to use the acetone to take the last of my nail polish off. And now I'm just dousing my hands in acetone and thinner. So a few tips from a beginner. Wear gloves. Take your rings off before you go do boat work. Always have something like this, because this came in really handy with the colloidal silica when it exploded. I stopped breathing, and then luckily I had this. I put this on. They always say do the safety stuff. Wear a mask, wear glasses, but I don't have a lot of experience doing this, so that's something I need to ingrain in my head better and be more prepared. I have a tendency to have 4 phases of a dream. The rose-colored part, then researching and thinking, okay, this will be easy. Then the frustration when I realize I don't know what I'm doing, and it's like a frustrating feeling. And then the satisfaction when you're actually doing it, and it's not so bad, and you're learning, and all of a sudden you've mixed epoxy and colloidal silica. I mean, what a cool thing to know how to do this stuff. Another little morsel we learned is that once you've done it before, it's much easier the second time. We are measuring the anchor chain. The first time that we measured out our anchor chain, for whatever reason, we were overwhelmed a little by all the stuff we had to do in our first year. Okay, today's the day we are leaving this marina, but first we need to measure our chain. We waited until we were back in the water and lowered the chain down into the dinghy, measuring and spraying it in my pajamas, basically right before we were finally leaving to go out into the sea for a bit. This time, after seeing people around us and having at least a bit more experience in boatyards, we laid it out here on the ground. Much easier. 10 meters, so there's one cluster of yellow. Then down there was 20 meters, 30 meters, so 3 clusters of red. And third, something you'll learn, no doubt, universal among boats. When you go to do a simple project, it often takes a lot longer than you think. And you're going to have to get resourceful with the tools. No? You'll go meet your neighbors to borrow stuff. But the great thing of all of these little lessons we've learned, the sense of satisfaction being able to do it when you've worked through all the frustration, the tiredness, the sanding, the hazardous materials. You're learning so much as you go. And then when you get back out into the ocean, that's the reward, and knowing that you know how to fix the things on your boat. There we go. Okay, go ahead, Pepper. ¿Qué fue eso? Mi teléfono. Como cayó como aquí. O hay una rama más allá.
¿Cómo va a ser? Así, ¿no?
Oh, shit, no. Like a slope. Yeah, we had a well. I love you so much. Love you so much. Thank you for iPhones that are waterproof.